The British Hound Sports Association have run 3 trail laying demonstration days, which included 6 different packs of hounds, and the results of which you're about to see in this following film. The sport of trail hunting is to recreate and mimic a traditional day's hunting as closely as possible. So the first pack to demonstrate was the Barlow, and their preferred method of laying their trail was from a bicycle, as we can see here. And this trail was laid a good hour before the hounds were actually laid on. So our opponents often criticise us, in fact deem us irresponsible for laying trails through woodland, because they feel that wildlife could get up in front of the hounds. Where in reality, wildlife is on the move all the time, everywhere in the countryside. And the Barlow country is so heavily wooded, they have no choice but to lay their trails through the woodland. So here we are at the top of the hill. The hounds are now, they're struggling to find this line. A lot of vehicles here that will have arrived since the line was laid. So the exhaust fumes have foiled the line and created what we call a check. So the hounds are now searching for where the line did go, and as you can see, they've now regained the line and they're streaming away across this open country on top of the hill. And you can imagine the excitement the riders would have trying to follow and keep up with these hounds in this wonderful countryside. So the second pack to demonstrate on day one was the Holcomb Harriers, the Harrier being a smaller type hound. And their preferred method, as we can see here in the film, is lay their trail from the back of a horse. Benefits to this, it can get places where maybe a quad bike or a runner might struggle. So the hounds are brought in to the start of this trail line, and they hit off the line and they're away in the direction that trail layer went. We can see the huntsman clearly and his assistant is whipper in, helping to keep the hounds together. So here we've got the trail layer has actually stopped the trail, crossed a minor road. So what's happened is we've got marshals on the road. They've waited for a break in the traffic, and the huntsman's been notified to bring the hounds across and lay them back on the other side of the road. And we can see them now, away they go, regain the line, having crossed that road. The other thing we need to be mindful of on any day is the wind can blow a trail off its course, and obviously that could blow it towards a road, so we need to be very, very mindful that is a possibility on a windy day. So the BHSA recognises that roads are getting busier, therefore all hunts are being advised to take much more care around roads and with road crossings. So the second of our trail laying demonstration days, the first up was the South Notts. They preferred to use a trail layer that's on foot, and this trail in particular was laid 2 hours in front of the hounds. We often get accused by those against us that they never see trails being laid. Well, they won't many times because they've been laid prior to the day starting. So here we see the trail layer getting towards the end of his trail. And what we see him do next is, right at the very end, he stops and he puts the lure into a plastic container with an airtight lid on, and off he goes. Therefore, the hounds won't be able to take the line any further than where he stopped. So many hunts use animal-based scent, predominantly fox-based scent for most, as opposed to chemical-based scents such as aniseed. They use this because they find that the cry of the hounds, the noise they make when they throw their tongues, is much stronger, and this enables the hounds to hear each other and push up together nice and tight, and it makes it much more manageable. And also they go at a pace that's a sensible pace, that we can actually see and observe the hounds hunting. So here we can see the huntsman trying to encourage the hounds to cover as much ground as possible to find the start of this trail. He will not know exactly where that trail started, as we're trying to reenact a traditional day's hunting. The other issue with aniseed is that actually aniseed sticks to the ground for a very long time. 2 issues here. Firstly, you couldn't go across the same piece of ground twice in a day because it would be too muddled and the hounds would be going in all directions. And secondly, it could be picked up by any wild or domestic animal. So now we can see the hounds have actually hit this line off. They found the trail, they're running down towards the first hedge, which they'll need to determine at this hedge, whether the trail layer has gone through the hedge, gone left, or gone right. The huntsman sits back just to watch the hounds. They've tried to the left, they're now trying to the right. So the hounds are really trying to investigate and find out where this trail's gone. Now you can see the pace change, and they go through the open gateway and away across the middle of the field, and their cry increases, and you can see the hounds pushing tighter up together. What can affect any day's hunting is weather conditions. Some days it might be hot, might be dry, might be wet, might be windy, and this all affects the scent. Some days hounds will run really fast, and some days they'll really struggle at a walking pace. Other factors that affect our day, a livestock in a field, it might have been muck spread, it might have had fertiliser put on it. Lots of factors in here. But this is what makes it interesting for us, because we are reenacting a traditional day's hunting, and we want it to be challenging for the hounds and for the huntsman. Here we are now, they've come to the second hedge, and it has actually gone through the hedge. The trailer obviously crawled through the bottom, and away they go into the bottom of the next field. Here we are, they're just casting again in the bottom of this field. They've just briefly lost the line again. Trail layer might have just picked it up and carried it for a little ways, just to fool them. They're coming back to where they last spoke on the line. And there they are. So they'd overrun it, and it had gone through the hedge and then right-handed. And now they've hit the line off lovely. And they're making their way up to where we saw the trail layer stop and put the lure into his plastic box. So the second pack up on day 2 to demonstrate was the Ferry. The Ferry's method to start of their trail laying is from a quad bike. And as you can see, the quad bike has just gone through some flood water. He's actually stopped, reapplied some scent to his lure, and made his way on again. Now here you see the quad bike pulling up. He's actually going to swap his lure with a rider. So the quad bike's now going to stop. The rider's going to take over, and he's going to continue this trail. This may be because farming interest won't have a quad bike on certain ground or won't have a horse on certain ground. So it's whatever the landowner requests. So the Ferry hounds are being brought down off the top of the hill to see if they can search and find the start of this trail. The huntsman's letting the hounds spread out right across the field at quite a steady pace to see if they can just recover the start of this trail line. So they come through the gateway and they're searching in the far field. And now the huntsman's asking them to come back towards him because he obviously wants to try them into the near field. And there we are, you can see the pace increase very quickly as they hit off the start of this trail. So now we can see the hounds are just starting to slow down and go in a bit of a circle. They've lost this line and they're going to try and cast themselves around, cover as much ground as they can to recover it. They may need intervention from the huntsman, maybe not. And this can take 10, 15 minutes sometimes to recover, and sometimes they don't recover it. But this is what makes it interesting for us again. You know, we are reenacting a traditional day's hunting. Many people come out to watch the hounds work, you know, not just to ride a horse and cross the country. Some people come to watch their puppies that they've had at home on the farm at walk as youngsters, watch them work. Older people come out in their cars to sit and watch the hounds work. They get a lot of enjoyment from this. It's a very big picture. Also, there's many foot packs in the country, so there is no horses involved anyway, and they're on their feet keeping up with the hounds, and so you know they're at close quarters with them, and they get a lot of enjoyment from that. Okay, so we can see the Ferry hounds coming down into the bottom now, just trying to recover this line. Now a number of hounds have jumped into the field on the right, and the huntsman's now coming down the track behind them. Sometimes in their enthusiasm, hounds go into fields they shouldn't really be in, and we try to minimise this. But here the huntsman's trying to encourage them on up the track as he feels the trail's been laid on through. So hounds are back, and sometimes hounds, if they're a little bit left behind, they'll cut a corner off and maybe go across a piece of ground that they possibly shouldn't be on. But the minute they get off the track and back onto cleaner ground on a grass field here, away they go. So the third of our trail end days for demonstrations was in North Yorkshire, and the first up was the Zetland. Here was a very different day. It was very murky, dank sort of a day, and we can see the Zetland hounds arriving in a very calm and collected manner. So the trail layer here, he's going out across some arable ground, and this particular farmer is very happy for horses on his arable ground. Many wouldn't be, but some are quite happy. But there we are, we see him, and the hounds are already coming along the top hedge line, hunting very, very nicely, pushing up together. Huntsman's there with them. And as they come along this top hedge, what we'll see in a moment in the next field is actually a roe deer that gets up out of a hedge in the foreground, and it travels from left to right. You can just make it out. And this happens many times on a hunting day with mammals getting up in front. The hounds are hunting lovely. They could have deviated, they didn't, they stuck to the trail. But if anything had gone wrong and they'd have changed onto the line of that deer, the huntsman and his staff would have very quickly stopped the hounds, brought them back to where they should be. So trail hunting is a legal activity, it is not a loophole, and it is enjoyed by many, many people from many different walks of life. If anybody would like to know more about it, please contact the British Hound Sports Association, details as shown.